Since the Bruen decision, over 30,000 of us here in the state of New Jersey have been exercising our Second Amendment right every single day by applying for and obtaining our concealed carry permit. But that was almost 2 years ago now, and unfortunately these permits only last 2 years, you guessed it. So now's the time to renew if you were an early adopter of the concealed carry license permit. We're gonna go over that today. Is it now time to bend over and get ready to put through the ringer by the state yet again? Let's get to it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you didn't already know, my name is Jay Costa. I am just a red-blooded American patriot here living behind enemy lines, some would say, in the state of New Jersey. And do me a favor, if you get value after watching this video, make sure you watch first. But if you do get value, smash that like button down below. Also consider subscribing because we are building a tight-knit community here of like-minded individuals who are looking to and interested in protecting and defending our God-given rights to defend ourselves, our family, and our property using the Second Amendment, especially in blue states like this one. So if that interests you, definitely check us out down below by subscribing. Also drop a comment, let me know where you're at and what your experience is where you live. But in this video, we're gonna go over how to step-by-step renew your New Jersey permit to carry a firearm. I'll go over the application process, what is required, what is not required, as well as how long it'll take and some tips and tricks that you need to know before getting started. Now, it has been almost 2 years to the day since the US Supreme Court decided in the Bruen case that blue states and anti-Second Amendment states like here in the state of New Jersey were not able to hinder our ability to protect ourselves, to protect our family and our property using our Second Amendment right to bear arms. And since then, over 30,000 of us here in the state have decided to go through the process and obtain our concealed carry license, which is awesome. But here we are 2 years later, and now is the time to renew for many of us. And just like everything else here in this state, especially firearms related, but not limited to that, as you all know, I fully expected this to be a total pain in the ass in order to renew. But let's find out. So first, what are the requirements in order to obtain your renewal of your New Jersey concealed carry license? Well, right from the state website, first and foremost, you need an SBI number. You'll also need your last name and date of birth for validation. No problem so far. Second, this is where it starts getting tricky, you will need one training record that has been completed within the last 2 years. More on this later. Third, you're going to need to provide any updates to your personal information. If you change your name, if you change your address, you're gonna put that in there. Four, you are going to have to re-upload a photo of yourself, like a passport style photo. You may still have that from your initial application. If you do, just reuse the same one as long as you look the same. You'll also need to provide any other background information that they request. These are usually pretty simple yes or no answers that you check off, like are you, have you been convicted of a felony since the initial application, things like that. You'll also need to give any updates to your handgun information. So if you have gotten a new concealed carry weapon in the last 2 years, you will need to add that to the list of handguns that you're allowed to carry with. And lastly, I know there was a lot of questions about this, you are required to pay an application fee of $200. Now, where do you reapply? Very simply, you go right to the state police website of New Jersey, just as if you're doing an initial application. I'll put a link in the description box down below if you need to find that. There is some information on the state police website about renewal, kind of differentiating it between the renewal process from the initial process, but as of right now, the website has not been updated very much, if at all. So you're just gonna have to click that button saying start initial application. Basically, it's almost the same process as far as I could see so far. Now, when can you apply for renewal? You are allowed to apply up to 4 months prior to the expiration date that is on your concealed carry permit. Do you need to re-qualify, take that qualification course again? As you can see in the requirements, you are required to provide a certification that you passed the qualifying course within the last 2 years. So if your qualifying course was completed within the last 2 years, you do not need to go get another qualification course to complete. But if it was more than 2 years ago, you will need to go find a qualification course to do over again, unfortunately. Now, let's stop for a second and go over those last two topics that we talked about. Do you need to requalify, and when can you apply for your renewal? it's very important to realize if you have a qualification course that is within the last 2 years and you're also within that 4-month period before expiration, go apply right now, because then you won't have to be required to go re-qualify in a course. Because if you wait and that qualification course gets over 2 years old, they're gonna make you go take another course, and that could be up to, let's say, $150 extra. More on the cost in a little bit because they add up. Let's talk about fingerprints. Do you need new fingerprints every time you renew your New Jersey concealed carry license? The answer is very simple, and it is no. Actually, you don't even need new fingerprints for an initial application either. As long as you've taken, your fingerprints have been taken in the state of New Jersey for firearms related purposes, AKA you have an FID card, you don't need to keep doing fingerprints over and over again. So there is that. That's probably the one positive that I could see so far during this process. Now, do you need references? Technically, according to the state police website, in the list of requirements for your renewal of your concealed carry license, there's no references listed in there. So technically, they aren't required. But as I mentioned before, the problem is the state police website has not really been updated very much in regards to the renewal process. So it still requires you in the portal to put references in. So you're gonna have to put references in there. Now, I did some research on this, and it does seem like pretty much everyone that has done this process so far, they put their initial references in and they were not reached out to at all. But I'm sure that's going to depend on your local police department, so your mileage may vary. Now, back to the cost of this whole process. As I mentioned earlier, you will need a $200 application fee, which is egregious as it is, as we all know, especially when comparing to other more friendly to the Second Amendment states. Furthermore, if your qualification is over 2 years old, you're going to have to go re-qualify. That could be probably another $150. So we're up to $350 as it is. To make matters even worse, starting in July, it's very likely that this application fee, among all other firearms related costs, will be bumped up by a significant margin up to $400. So that'll be $400 plus another $150, let's say, to requalify. So $550 every 2 years in order to exercise your Second Amendment right. This is totally egregious and unconstitutional and racist. I've made a video on these fees going up. I'll put a link in the description box down below, as well as up in the corner right now if you want to check it out. But it is insane. Let's move on. Now, how long does this process take? I have not done this process yet, but from my research, I have heard as long as 2 months and as quick as 36 hours. It's going to depend almost totally on your local police department and how friendly to these sorts of concealed carry licenses and friendly to the Second Amendment that they are. If you're doing this already, drop a comment in the comment section down below and let us know how long you've been waiting or how long it took in order to get approved. Now, lastly, I do hear this often. If you were one of the very early adopters of the concealed carry license, concealed carry permit, and you had to go through the court in order to get approved for it, what does that mean for your renewal process? Well, very simply, it's basically like you're starting from scratch, and that's not technically a bad thing because it's kind of like we're all starting from scratch no matter what. So when you go apply for your renewal, like I said, it's going to be like your initial application. And the good news is the renewal permit that you get is not going to have that list of guns that you qualified with. It's not going to be on there. You're not going to be restricted at all. So that is a good part. If you have a court-appointed permit, you will not have that court-appointed permit anymore with that list of guns that you qualify for. You're not going to be restricted in that way. So that's good news. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I have not done this process yet because I actually had a whole problem getting my application through the court a couple years ago. I actually made a video on this as well. I'll put it in the corner right here, as well as in the description if you want to check that out. So I finally was just approved for my concealed carry license. I don't know, probably last November or October or something like that. So I still have a while to go in order to get started on this, but I'm gonna rely on you guys. Let me know if you're coming up soon, what you plan on doing, how the experience is going through this process, as well as how long it's gonna take. Drop a comment in the comment section down below and let me know what's going on, because I wanna build a community here of people like me and like you guys in blue states, specifically New Jersey, who are looking to exercise their Second Amendment right. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you like this video, you will love my custom playlist on firearms related stuff, specifically here in New Jersey. I'll put a link, once again, last link for you in the description box, as well as up in the corner for you to check that playlist out when you can. Appreciate it as always, and I will see you next time.